Whoa! Look at that one, Jenna exclaimed as a giant red star came into focus on the screen that was hooked up to her new telescope. It's beautiful. Yeah, it is. But it's also one of the most deadly forces in our universe too. It's a red giant, her father explained, leaning a bit closer to the screen from his chair beside Jenna's. Do you remember why they are so devastating? Of course. Red giants emit a light called ultraviolet. It's deadly to all living matter, Jenna said with a quirk of silliness. Need you ask if I ever remember something about the star, Dad? Her father chuckled. I suppose not. I swear sometimes I wonder if you were actually born from the stars instead of from humans, he replied sarcastically, but soon realised the sarcasm wasn't quite noted by his daughter. Jenna paused at his response, her eyes lowering from their previous state of cheerfulness, and she looked back to the screen, just staring at it. Jen, I'm sorry, He let out a sigh of frustration with himself. You know, I'm no good at this joking around thing. It wasn't the right thing to say or the right way to say it. I know. Yeah, Dad, she said, cutting him short, and got up to turn off the screen before stepping over to her bed and flopping face down onto it, muttering a muffled good night from her pillow. Her father got up slowly from his seat with another sigh and headed for the door. Good night, he said softly before flipping the switch and closing the door behind him. Well, of course it wasn't a good thing to joke about, Mike. What were you thinking? The poor girl. You should be more sensitive with your daughter. I mean, her mother died giving birth to her. What would make you think it was okay to joke about something like that? I wasn't joking about it like that, Tracy. I'm not some heartless bastard, Mike replied with an evident tone of frustration towards his boss's raised voice. Now can you keep it down a bit? There are two really rich clients outside that door, and I really would rather they not feel that we are more stressed about personal matters than their matters right now, he finished with a more hushed voice. Tracy replied simply with a sigh before turning around to head back into her office, leaving Mike to fend for himself with their clients in the other room. He paused a moment, giving himself a mental facepalm before turning to open the door to greet the clients. Hi, I'm Megan Landrows, Tracy Lou's investigator. You must be Mr. Safetta and Mr. Carlson, he said, smiling widely as he shook their hands. Yeah, hi. Sean and Nick, the older of the two men replied, returning the handshake with one hand, motioning to Nick with the other hand. All right, Sean, Nick, nice to meet you both. So how can we help you today, Mike said, still grinning widely, trying to show for the clients. Well, we actually came to... Sean looked towards Nick with an uneasy expression, then back to Mike. We're firing you. Mike's wide grin faded away at the words, his expression turning distraught. I'm sorry, may I ask you why? Did we do something wrong? I mean, I've barely had time to investigate the case. It's only been a few hours since you called, but I am working on it, I can assure you. I know. We're just not happy with the looks of things already, Nick chipped into the conversation. You and Miss Lou seem to have other agendas at the moment. Other agendas? No. What you heard in there was nothing, Mike stammered, evidently trying his best to keep the clients. I sincerely apologise. It was just a small conversation between Tracy and I that had nothing to do with your case. It won't affect your case, honestly, and we will have your case worked on in an appropriate amount of time, and... Mr. Landrows, thank you, but we have to be on our way now. We are meeting with our new attorney in half an hour, Sean said, abruptly cutting off Mike's attempt at keeping them as clients. All right. Well, again, I am sincerely sorry. Good luck with your new lawyer, I guess, Mike answered, not knowing what else to say or do, as the two men walked out of the office. Just as Tracy walked into the room with a smile on her face almost as wide as Mike's was previously, when she realised the clients were leaving, however, Her smile turned to an expression of anger with Mike as she cast a glare at him. "I told you you should have toned it down," he replied to her look. Tracy let out a loud, exasperated sigh at that and stormed back into her office, slamming the door shut, causing Mike to flinch slightly. Coming down the stairs into the kitchen, Jenna opened the door to the refrigerator and reached in to get a bottle of water. Shutting the door and turning around as she opened the bottle, she realised her father was home early. He was sitting at the dining table with a mess of papers and folders, reading through them with an intense expression on his face. "What you working on, Dad?" she said quietly, so as not to startle him. He glanced up from the papers in front of him, but as soon as he saw her eyes became buried back in them. "Just working on that old Michaela Joel case some more," he replied, flipping through a couple of pages as Jenna walked into the room with her water. "Still? Isn't that case like 18 years old now?" she asked. "Almost 19, actually. I started on it just before I met your—" Mike stopped himself short, remembering what had happened the night before and not wanting to pick at the wound he had already caused. "Just before you met Mom," Jenna finished for him, her eyes falling down to look at her water bottle for a second before she looked back up and pulled out a chair to sit down beside him, quietly watching him work as she sipped at the water. Yeah, I actually met her while I was out of town to investigate the case. She was the desk clerk at the hotel I stayed at, and you were born just a year later," Mike said softly, his eyes not wanting to unglue themselves from the papers in front of him as he talked, in fear of Jenna's reaction to him talking about her mother again. However, though she felt a bit uneasy about the topic, she remained mostly calm this time. "So how old was Michaela when she was kidnapped?" Jenna asked. "She was actually about your age when she disappeared," he answered with a slight sigh, leaning back in his chair in relief that his daughter had changed the subject. "Just 17. Went to bed one night, was gone by morning. No signs of break-in, no footprints or fingerprints found anywhere, and none of the doors or windows were even unlocked. It's like she just vanished into thin air." His words trailed off as he settled back in his chair and began to nervously rub at his forehead. "Well, maybe she heard someone knock on the door, and when she went to see who it was someone she knew and she went with them, locking the door behind her. Like, in case her parents woke up. She didn't want them to know she was gone," Jenna pondered. "Already covered that base. I thought the same thing at one point, but her parents were very strict and didn't give her a key to the house, and kept theirs in the bedroom, of which both sets were there and undisturbed when I investigated. If she had done that, she wouldn't have been able to get back in." He leant back towards the table, his forehead resting in the palm that he had been using to rub his forehead, evident confusion and frustration on his face as he stared blankly at the papers. "Well then, maybe she was abducted," Jenna said, causing her father to look up to her with a raised eyebrow. "You know, alien abduction." She finished her sarcastic joke with a light laugh, and Mike let out a slight chuckle. But his mind was so focused on the puzzle of the case that her humour didn't do much to distract him. Jenna saw this and just leant back into her chair and looked out the window as he slowly went back to reading through the papers on the table. A few minutes of awkward silence went by, and Jenna then got up from the chair and looked back at her father. "Sorry, we just apparently have two totally different ideas of humour," she said abruptly to him, causing him to look back up to her, a confused look still on his face. "This isn't really a laughing matter, dear Jane. An innocent girl was taken from her own home, and nobody has heard from her or seen anything of her in 19 years to even know she is still alive today." "Yeah, well, I'm sorry. I mean, it's been 19 years, as you said. I thought that time heals all wounds, huh, Dad?" she snapped, quoting Mike from numerous times when she had been upset about her mother. "I figured it was okay to joke about heartaches after that long. You sure thought it was okay to joke about Mom's death? What makes it any worse with Michaela? She wasn't even family," she said, evident anger in her voice, before she turned around quickly and ran up the stairs to her room, not even taking time to get her water off the table. Hearing her door slam shut, Mike sighed heavily and buried his face in both of his palms as he leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table. After slamming the door shut behind her, Jenna stomped towards her bed and flopped down onto it with a loud sigh of frustration. She laid there on her back, unmoving until Fudge Brownie, the chocolate Labrador her father had gotten for her as a puppy for her 15th birthday, jumped up onto the bed beside her and laid down against her side, lying his chin on her arm. "Hey, Fudgy," she said quietly to him as she reached over and began to gently scratch between his ears. He laid there, his big black eyes looking up at her as he enjoyed the attention, until the phone on the dresser beside her bed began to ring, and he raised his head to look at it. It rang a few times, and Jenna sat up to see what the caller ID said. But she was a moment too late as the phone stopped ringing and the screen went blank. Only a second later, her father yelled up the stairway to her, "Jenna! It's Abby Morgan!" She quickly reached up to grab the phone and turned it on, only to hear her father and her friend Abby talking about a school project. "Dad, I got it, thanks. You can hang up now, okay?" she snapped, cutting their conversation short. "All right, well, excuse me. I was just seeing how you've been doing in school since you never tell me yourself," her father said jokingly. "Dad, hang up, please," Jenna responded, not seeing her father's humour as usual. He hung up the phone at this without another word, and Jenna let out a small sigh of relief. "Hey, Ab, what's up?" she said as she moved to rest back against her pillows, petting Fudgy again as he crawled back up to her side. Not much. Just wanted to ask if you're coming with me this weekend," her friend answered on the other end of the phone. "Coming with you? Where?" Jenna replied, her eyebrows furrowing in confusion. "What are you talking about?" "I am going to the best place to watch this Saturday's meteor shower. Paloma Mountain," Abby said excitedly. "Oh, okay, awesome, yeah, if Dad'll let me." "You did know about it, right?" Abby questioned. "Yeah, of course I did. That's why Dad got me that telescope. Well, that and an early birthday present, since that's next week. I don't know if you will let me. We've been at it again," Jenna replied with a sigh. "Oh, okay. You know, you and your dad should really make up and stop doing that all the time. Try to see eye to eye for a change. All that stress isn't good for you, and you'll start to go grey early. You'll get stress lines on your face." "Yes, I know, my nerdy 16-year-old therapist wannabe of a friend," Jenna remarked sarcastically, cutting her friend's rant short. "But as we both know, my dad is not the easiest person to see eye to eye with," she finished with a more serious tone. "Yeah. Oh, hey, I gotta go. Mom wants help cooking dinner. I'll see you in school tomorrow, and I'll tell you the details about the trip then, okay?" "Okay. See you tomorrow, Ab," Jenna replied before hanging up the phone. She sat up again and set it back on the charger, then laid back down and wrapped one arm around her dog.